and go over the syllabus. Now, can you see on your screen, can you see the syllabus?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. Let me know if you can't see it. First thing I'd like to mention about the syllabus is the book, Concepts of Biology. This book is free online, and the link to get it is here. And you'll need to get it either, you can get it either as an online only, or you can buy the hard copy book, and the instructions are here for you to do that. You will need the book, especially in the early parts of the course, because some of the assignments are based directly on the contents of the book. One thing to mention, there's a note here that all the versions of this book have the same information, but the page numbers may differ. So when, for example, if a worksheet calls for you to look at a certain page number in the book, you look there and it's not there, just look a little on either side of that and you'll find it, because some of the page numbers in some versions have shifted. Okay, the links for Zoom meetings, you obviously have the Monday link, and you should also make note of the Wednesday link. And also, I will have office hours each Monday and Wednesday. Those are our class days, from 2 to 2:40 each Monday and each Wednesday. And the links for those are here. If you want to talk to me, just log in and I will be there. My email address is given here. This is the best way to contact me. And I will respond to your email as quickly as I can, usually within a day or less. Okay, a note about not using Safari in Canvas. Use some other browser instead. There's a list of important dates here. These are largely the same dates that you have on your campus schedule. I want to emphasize them. Today is the first day of class. The end of the semester is June 6th. The rest of this is for you to read, the expectations, and class attendance. Now, for the first 3 weeks of the semester, we're going to meet online as we are today. After that, we may meet in class. And if we do, it will be in classroom F606. But the situation is fluid, and we may or may not actually do that. If we do, I'll be in touch with you more about that later. So I don't take attendance. What I do record is participation. And participation means anything that you vocalize, a question, comments, observations, recommendations, anything that you bring up in class, I will mark that down and you will get 3 extra credits for it. So I'd encourage each of you to participate at least once in each class because it adds up. So since we have, I think it's 17 different class, 34 different class periods. If you do them all, you'll end up with nearly 100 extra credit points. And that could mean the difference of a whole grade point in your final grade. So I'm bribing you to speak, but what I really want is your feedback. I want to hear from you what you're thinking, what you're unsure about, what you'd like to hear more of or less of. Almost always there are technical issues. And these usually happen during exams, especially online exams, and all the tests up until the middle of February will be online. I am not a technical expert. So if you have a problem with Canvas, there's the number to call Canvas, and they're usually very prompt. Or you can call the help desk on campus or email the help desk. But it's much more direct and easier for you to contact experts rather than asking me to solve your technical problem. To emphasize, you should spend at least 4 to 6 hours each week in concentrated study outside of class time. You'll need to study that much, especially later on in the course, where we get into some pretty dense information. Here's a section on cheating. Cheating will not be tolerated. This lays out what constitutes cheating and what would be done about it. And then there's a list of point values and assignments. So there will be 4 exams, and I make a distinction between tests and quizzes. Tests are full period examinations. Quizzes are 15 minutes. So there'll be 4 tests at 100 points each, for a total of 400 points. There will be approximately 10 quizzes, maybe more, maybe less, depending on how it goes. And each of those is worth 10 points. So the quizzes for the semester are worth about 100 points. If you participate in each class period, you will get 93 points. There will be about 10 worksheets, and these are really study guides that you work out on your own. So that's approximately another 100 points. And then there will be a group project on a disease. Disease is cystic fibrosis, and I'll explain a little later why this disease and what you will do. And finally, in final exam week, there will be a final exam worth 200 points, and it will be occupy a double class period. So instead of 75 minutes, the final exam will be 150 minutes. So the total number of points possible in this course is 993, or for purposes of thinking about it, it's about 1,000 points. Any questions or comments about the assignments and the point values?
I have a question.
Yeah, when you speak, tell me your name.
Esteban Gomez.
Esteban, okay. All right, what's your question?
How often are going to be the quizzes? Every couple of weeks?
There will be something almost every week. We might skip a week now and then, but there'll be either a quiz or a test almost every week. So that means, since this class meets Mondays and Wednesdays, there will be either on Monday or Wednesday of each week a quiz or a test.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Esteban has just participated, so I made a note of that. He gets 3 credits. So I encourage everybody else to think about what we're going through and participate. I have a note here how to prepare for taking a test. And then finally, there's a tentative schedule, and I emphasize tentative. The schedule will probably deviate from what you see here, but these are the topics that we will be covering and in the approximate order that we'll be covering them. And finally, I might grade on either an absolute value or on a curve, most likely a curve. And if I do, the deciles are indicated here, A, B, C, and D. Okay, any other questions or comments about the syllabus? You all have it, so you can study it and refer to it as you need. I'm going to stop sharing this screen and go to another document, which I sent you, but I just want to emphasize a few things about it. Can you see preparation for exams and time limits?
Yes.
Yes, I see it.
Okay. Wow, everything seems to be working today. Unusual. All right. So the time limit for a quiz will be 15 minutes. If the course is online, as it will be at the beginning, the quiz will be accessible from midnight to midnight on the day of the quiz. And so since the class time is 75 minutes, if we take 15 minutes out, or you need to take 15 minutes out to take the quiz, then the class period on that day will be only 60 minutes. Similarly, for tests, tests are full period, a period of 75 minutes. So if we are online, the test will be accessible to you from midnight to midnight on the day of the test. And the class does not meet on the day of the test. So if we're online, there will be no Zoom session on the day of the test. But if we're in class, then the test will be taken in class in physical time. But there'll be no lecture. The test will be designed to consume approximately the full class period. There are usually students that need special consideration. And if you are one of them, go to DSPS, the Disabled Students Program and Services. Their phone number is given here. And explain your situation. And if they send me a form indicating that you need special consideration, I will grant whatever their request is, or whatever your request is. Now, to do well on the exams, you need to study in advance. And as I said earlier, it's recommended 4 to 6 hours minimum per week. And I'll talk a little bit later about the items, the things that you should study in preparation for a quiz or a test. Any questions about this?
Yeah, I had a question. Nick
Your
Taboga.
name, are you Nick?
Nick Taboga, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So for the quizzes and or exams online, are they going to be like Canvas quizzes, or is it going to be print out and then submit through PDF?
No, but you raise a good point. The quizzes and tests will be in Canvas. So on the day of the exam, you'll open Canvas and click on quizzes, and it will pop up. Canvas treats everything as a quiz. So whether it's a quiz or a test or an exam, they're all labeled as quizzes.
Got it. Thank you.
But the other point that your question raises is the worksheets. So the worksheets will be submitted in Canvas as assignments. And so when you open the assignment, you will get a document. You'll respond to that document and then send it back to me in Canvas. And then that shows up in the grade book, and I can assign a grade. And you should already have an assignment for which is due on Saturday, I believe, on Introduction to Biology. And for that, you will need to refer to the textbook. But it's something that you should look for if you haven't seen it already. It's worth 20 points.
I have a
Anything?
question. Daniel?
What's your name?
Daniel.
Daniel, okay.
So for the final exam, are we gonna have the same amount of time, or are we gonna have a bit extra since it's comprehensive?
You'll have double time.
Okay, thank you so much.
Since it's worth a double amount of points, 200 points instead of 100, and you'll have 2 class periods, or in other words, 150 minutes to take the final exam. Anything else?
I have a question.
Katrina? Okay.
Yeah, Katrina. For the tests, it says there are going to be no online lectures. So during those accessible times from midnight to midnight, we just have to get the test done that day, or do you want us to get the test done during the estimated class time period?
You have all day to log in. So
Okay, perfect.
from midnight until midnight, don't wait until 11:30 to take a test, because you might run out of time.
Of course.
Yeah, you have all day to start, and once you start, the time starts. And so if it's a quiz, you'll be locked out at 15 minutes. If it's a test, it'll end at 75 minutes. And if it's the final exam, I don't know if the final exam will be online or in class, but if it's online, it will be 150 minutes. And I think I will give you 2 attempts on each test. So you can do it, and then you'll be able to think about what you've done and what you didn't know, and then redo it. And the grade book will save your highest grade. Anything else? Okay, then I'm going to stop sharing this screen. Do you see Welcome to Biology 130?
Yes.
There.
Okay. And it should be a full screen view. Here's a quote from Isaac Asimov. The most exciting phrase to hear in science, the one that heralds new discoveries, is not Eureka, I found it, but rather, that's funny. What do you think that means?
I would think that it means almost like an interest that makes you want to discover more.
Yeah,
Want to find out why it's funny, why it's that way. That makes sense.
yes. Yeah, so what you're suggesting is that indicates curiosity. It's not that you've really hit a gold mine, but that something has happened. You did an experiment, something has happened that makes you curious about the next question. Why did it turn out that way? You had a hypothesis, you tested the hypothesis, it wasn't true. Why not? Anyone else have a thought about this quote from Asimov?
I do. Precious Yang here. This quote, to me, it means that what heralds new discoveries is not necessarily finding what you were looking for, but finding surprises along the way, and it makes the entire process more interesting and more meaningful. And then at the end, you have like more to look back on because you went in looking for A, but then maybe you found A, but also B and C as well.
Yeah, and most likely you didn't find A, you found B and or C instead. In other words, discovery is not a straight line endeavor. It zigs and zags and goes up and down. And I'll give you some examples over the semester of how experimental research proceeds in real case studies. Okay. So what are the components of this course? The quizzes and tests will be based on the reading material, excuse me, and material covered in class. So in Canvas, you will find, if you look under the home button, you'll find a series of modules. Need to get some water. There is a module for each week of the semester. And within each module, you'll find the materials for that week. So if you look in module 1 right now, you'll see everything, all the materials that I've prepared so far for the course, including the slide sets. PPT means PowerPoint slide sets, and you find them if you click on Canvas Home and then look under modules. Module 1 will have, for example, this slide set. In addition, each class session will be recorded. And including this one, we're being recorded right now. And when the lecture is over, the recording has to be processed in YouTube, which takes about an hour. But after that, I will send you the YouTube link for each class session. So whatever you hear on Zoom in real time, you can refer to as many times as you wish by going to the YouTube link. And as I said, I'll send you that link as an announcement. In preparing for a test or a quiz, review the previous ones, because the questions that I ask, I usually think are important enough. I might ask something not identical, but similar. You'll need to refer to the textbook, which is described in the syllabus, and the worksheets, which are really study guides. And you have one assigned right now that is due on Saturday. It's probably best that you don't try to work on it immediately, but wait until Wednesday, after we've gone over some of the things that you'll need to do the worksheet. And I'll be assigning another worksheet for the following week. Any questions about the materials that comprise this course? Okay, here are the announcements. If you look in your Canvas container, here are the items that you should see. A welcome letter from me. You should see the syllabus, which we've just reviewed. You'll see a document on preparation for exams and time limits, which we've just reviewed. And there is a student resources guide. If you open that, it will refer you to someplace that you can go for solving almost any problem you might have. There's also a personal counseling guide. Also in the module for week 1, there's a little document called, do you want to study or learn? Now, this is just for your edification. It's not graded, but it might give you some hints on how to make your study time more efficient. Also in the week 1 module is a worksheet. It's treated as an assignment, so it appears in Canvas as an assignment. It's due on February 5. It says here 16 points. It's really 20 points. I need to change that. And we'll discuss it next Monday, a week from today, in class. And usually, if you can't find something, open Canvas, click on Home on the navigation pane, and then look in the relevant module. The modules go by weeks. So right now we're in week 1, and you will look in module 1. All the subsequent modules at this point are copies from last semester. So ignore those. They're all going to be replaced with material from this semester. Class participation and attendance. I don't take attendance. I do note participation. Gone over this already. Several of you have already participated. And I've given you credit for that. You get 3 points each time you do per day. You don't get 3 credits for doing multiple participations on the same day. But periodically, I'll keep a spreadsheet. Periodically, I'll send it around, and you can review it. And if I ever miss a participation, you let me know, and I'll give you credit for it. Participation includes asking questions, answering questions, making comments, making suggestions, or joining discussions among class attendees. Let's turn to biology. What is it? It's a study of living organisms. That is the study of life. It's a very broad field. There are specialized subfields. I've listed a few of them here. So what is life? It's a collection of materials collected from elsewhere in the universe. And this condition of the materials distinguishes animals, plants, and microbes from inorganic matter. So what we're going to be doing in this course is studying the condition of this material from interstellar space that comes together, becomes dynamic, and takes the form of an animal or a plant or a microbe. But there are 8 characteristics that define a living organism. These are laid out in the textbook, pages 5 to 9. And you will, in your assignment, your worksheet, Introduction to Biology, you will list these 8 characteristics. And as you do, please think about them and think what they mean. There are a lot of subdisciplines of biology. Some of them are listed here. I'm curious to know just what you think some of these are. So, for example, what is microbiology? Anyone? What do you think microbiology is?
The study of microorganisms.
Yes, study of small things that you cannot see with an unaided eye. You need some kind of microscope. What is molecular biology?
Study of molecules.
Yeah, that's true, but it's a particular kind of molecules. We'll talk a lot more about molecular biology later in the course, but it's the study of macromolecules, in particular, nucleic acids, DNA and RNA, and protein. And on that note, what do you think proteomics might be? The name gives it away.
Proteins.
Right. But in particular, proteomics is the molecular biology of proteins. What about ecology?
I think that's the study of living things, but like in the plant domain, like trees and stuff.
That's included in ecology. Ecology is a bit more than that. We'll talk about it a little more in another couple of slides. Ecology includes both the living and the non-living components of an environment. And we'll come to that. Anybody know what bioinformatics is? What you think it might be? Informatics tells you something. It's information technology, and bio means life. So it's
Is it like DNA sequencing and stuff like that?
You've hit the nail on the head. Bioinformatics is the analysis of DNA sequences to try to extract information from them. Sequences alone have no information value. And so it takes special algorithms to extract information from a DNA sequence. So that's what bioinformatics is. The theme of the semester is cystic fibrosis. That's a disease. And the reason we've chosen it is that it involves most of the topics covered in the course. And actually more, it goes even beyond that. So this diagram lays it out. Cystic fibrosis is the disease. And all of these subheadings here indicate components or elements related to this disease. So the disease involves a number of organs like lungs, pancreas, digestion, digestive enzymes, metabolism. It involves eukaryotic cells and organs, their structure and function, reproduction in terms of mitosis and meiosis. There's a big emphasis on membrane structure and function. History, prokaryotic cells are included. So this disease will come up from time to time. And in particular, your project. So that we will have a cystic fibrosis project. The class will be divided into subgroups so that you'll have one or more partners. And each group will be assigned a mutant. Why is that? It's because cystic fibrosis is a genetic disease. It only occurs if there's been a mutation in a particular gene. So people who have cystic fibrosis all carry a mutation, and there are many different mutations in this gene, and the mutations have different effects. So that's why you will be assigned, each group will be assigned a particular mutation. You'll do research on that mutation and prepare an illustrated report of the information that you discover. And that will be delivered orally to the class. And the things that you will investigate about your mutant are what is the structure of the protein that your mutant encodes, your mutation encodes. How does the function of the protein change as the result of that mutation? What are the symptoms that a patient has who got that particular mutation? And what are treatments for it? So your presentation will be probably about 10 minutes, and you'll cover these 4 aspects of a particular cystic fibrosis mutant. Oh, you will get together with your group, you'll prepare your materials, and you'll have me, you'll sign up for a special time period with me so that I can preview your materials prior to your presentation to the class. And we'll set up a schedule for this later on in the semester. This will probably happen approximately in the middle of the semester. The project will be worth 100 points. You can get 100 points if you have flaws in your presentation. Points will be deducted, but if you get the full 100 points, that's about 10% of the final grade. And I'll give you a lot more information about the disease and about the project later. All right, this series of pictures gives you an idea of the scope of information that we're going to cover in this course. Starting in the upper left with a molecule, we're actually going to start at an even more fundamental level than that. We're going to start with an atom. And we're going to explore what there is about atoms that causes them to assemble in various different combinations to form assemblages that we know as molecules. So for example, here we have a molecule of glucose. It's composed of 3 different types of atom. Why do these particular atoms come together and associate and form a particular molecule? Now, molecules can enter into very complex reactions and result in a cell. So an atom is the most fundamental unit of matter. A cell is the most fundamental unit of life. And we'll talk a lot more about cells, what they are, and what are not cells. So for example, viruses are not cells. When cells assemble into very complex structures, we're now at the organism level. So for example, a saguaro cactus is an organism composed of many different tissues and organs. A group of saguaros is a population of one organism, and we'll look at that. A community is a group of several different populations. So in the Sonoran Desert, there are saguaro cacti, but also many other kinds of plants which form a community. And then we talked about ecosystem a little bit ago. An ecosystem is a community and its interaction with the non-living environment. The soil, the rocks, the weather, here in this case, a rainstorm. This is all part of the physical environment within which a community exists. And then we have the planet Earth. We're going to talk about the planet Earth, and we're also going to talk about its place in the universe and what else is in the universe besides the planet Earth, besides our solar system, and besides our galaxy. And we're going to consider the prospect that life might exist elsewhere in the universe besides just on this planet. So that will be entirely speculation based on observations. Any questions about the scope? We go from very tiny, from atoms, to very large, the planet, and even beyond that, the universe. And hopefully it will be organized in a way that it will all make sense to you. No questions? Okay, the bottom line. Life on Earth evolved only once. It was an amazing event. We'll talk about that. But there was somewhere back in the past a single progenitor cell, and all the rest of life on this planet arose from that cell. Subsequent to that founder event, we have the infinite variety of life forms that we see when we look around today, and that we see when we look into the fossil record all the different life forms that have existed prior to now, but are now extinct. So every organism has inherited a common suite of characteristics from this one ancient ancestor cell. And that set of characteristics defines life. And you'll find a discussion of this in the textbook, and you will treat this on your worksheet. Now, what kind of people are scientists? We probably all have a stereotypic image of what a scientist looks like. But take a look at these pictures. Tell me which picture here looks most like a scientist. What do you think? Any guesses?
It could really be all of them.
It was Fiona.
Fiona?
Okay. You're right. In fact, each of these pictures shows a real scientist. And you can see that they have all kinds of appearance, all kinds of hobbies, activities. So many different kinds of person can become a scientist. And there are all different kinds of scientists, of course. Some who do experimental science, some who do observational science, some who write about science. So the point I wanted to leave you with for today is that regardless of what your career goal is right now, you may or may not be interested in becoming a scientist yourself. But if you do, don't worry, you'll find lots of people like yourself in the scientific community. Okay, anything else about today? That's the end of what I've prepared to talk about today. So if there are any questions or comments or suggestions about the course, if anything occurs to you later that you'd like to comment on or suggest for the course, send me an email or save it for office hours and we can talk about it. Okay, nothing else. Then the office hour starts at 2 o'clock today, so that's about a half hour from now. And I'll either see you there or on Wednesday at 12:30.
Thank you, Professor.
Thanks, Professor.
Okay, nice to meet you all. We'll get to know each other much better before the semester's over.